Let's rewind a bit. The day was 25th June 1975. Indira Gandhi declared a national emergency to suppress civil liberties, citing Article 352 of the Indian Constitution. The 21-month period was also known for excesses such as forced mass sterilization, censorship of the press, suspension of constitutional rights, and centralization of power. And Tuesday marked the golden jubilee of the blackest day in Indian history. Now, on expected lines, first Prime Minister Narendra Modi set the stage during his speech on Monday. He criticized the emergency for scrapping the constitution, killing democracy, and turning the country into a jail. And today, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla read out the resolution condemning the imposition of emergency. He termed the decision by Indira Gandhi an attack on the constitution and asked the House to observe 2 minutes of silence in memory of people who lost their lives during the emergency. Needless to say, it triggered a wave of protests by the opposition in the House. Opposition MPs, including from the Congress, were on their feet. They raised slogans against the reference to the emergency. At a time, the 18th Lok Sabha is being touted as the dawn of a new reality for the Indian Parliament, with the opposition much stronger post the elections and finally a leader of opposition after a decade. Has the BJP isolated the Congress within the opposition ranks with its emergency attack? Because the Samajwadi Party and the DMK supported the Speaker's resolution, while both parties, along with the TMC, refrained from protesting in the Parliament along with the Congress. And that brings us to the big question on Brass Tacks tonight on Speaker's emergency reminder: can Congress escape the dark chapter?
भारत के इतिहास में 25 जून 1975 के देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया। भारत की नई पीढ़ी इस बात को कभी नहीं भूलेगी कि भारत के संविधान को पूरी तरह नकार दिया गया था। संविधान के लीरे लीरा उड़ा दिए गए थे। देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया था। लोकतंत्र को पूरी तरह दबोच दिया गया था। 25 जून 1975 के उस दिन को भारत के इतिहास में 25 जून 1975 के उस दिन को हम हमेशा काले अध्याय के रूप में जाना जाएगा।
BJP must stop driving a car only by looking at the rear view mirror. They must have a forward-looking agenda.
सरकार का एक सोचा समझा एजेंडा है कि सदन न चलने पाए। आज जो अघोषित इमरजेंसी है, ये संविधान में कहीं इसका जिक्र नहीं है।
सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंदिरा गांधी की कुर्सी बचाने के लिए ये इमरजेंसी लगाई गई थी। तो आज ये लोग जो बात करते हैं, लोकतंत्र की, संविधान की शर्म करें।
श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी के नेतृत्व में उस संविधान का गला घोटने का कार्य किया था, जिस संविधान की शपथ लेकर के वह देश की प्रधानमंत्री बनी।
All right, let's dive straight into the discussion. And for that, I'm joined in by our esteemed panelists today. Tuhin Sinha, who's the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Dr. Joy Kumar, who's the national spokesperson of the Congress. Mr. Hafizullah, who's the spokesperson of the DMK. And Tushar Gupta, who's a senior journalist and political commentator. Tushar, I'd like you to set the tone for the debate. 50 years have lapsed, something that happened back in 1975. Why is it being brought back today? Of course, the opposition, you heard, is calling it extremely insignificant. Why and how does emergency matter in today's day and age?
Good evening, Akanksha. Leave it to the Congress. They would tweak history as per their whims and fancies. They would want the people of India to know nothing about the emergency. They call it insignificant because they want to demean the sufferings of the people of those 21 months. People who languished in prisons without a fair trial, people who languished in the most distressing conditions without any support from the government, people who were silenced in the media, people who were silenced in the political circles. They want the people of India not to know anything about this. This is what the Congress wants. But we have to look at the resolution that was passed in the Lok Sabha today in this very context. The young Indians, the Indians who were born after perhaps, say, the 1990s, who know very little about the emergency and the sufferings of the people, they must go back and read the history as to how the Congress party traumatized an entire nation in the name of politics for 21 long months when they suspended the constitution. Today, it's all good and well for Rahul Gandhi to hold up a copy of the constitution and say, we are here to save the constitution. But 5 decades ago, it was their party that overruled the constitution of India for their own political and selfish interests. I think the people of India must not forget that, must not forgive them for that.
All right, Mr. Hafizullah, can you hear me? Because I'd like to take my next question from you. Mr. Hafizullah, something very heartwarming was witnessed today. We saw how the Samajwadi Party and the DMK also supported the resolution. I'm sure that was in solidarity with the spirit of democracy, but why did the DMK choose to do that?
See, what we need to understand is history is history. We cannot rewrite history. In fact, DMK was one of the victims of that period when emergency was put out. Our leaders were arrested. My current leader, the Chief Minister today, was also a victim of that period. Now, having said that, that is a matter of past. That is 50-year-old now. In a present situation, there is something that we have to look is what is in the past and what is in the future. My learned friend who's a fellow panelist who was telling about people silenced in the media. What is happening today? How many people are silenced in the media? How many media houses are being threatened? How many journalists are arrested under UAPA? Is this not an undeclared emergency? What is happening in Manipur? You know, Prime Minister took 78 days to talk about that. And we have to bring in a no confidence motion for the Prime Minister to talk on an issue where hundreds of people were being killed. The armed forces were being robbed from their ammunition. And then the Chief Minister says it's a foreign intrusion. What happened to people who died and there was no discussion? See, you want to go talk about the past, you can continue to do it. But what is happening in today is nothing less than what you're accusing of. The opposition leaders are being arrested. When for a particular case, a sitting chief minister is being arrested, and his
Mr. Hafizullah, I'm going to take that question. I'm going to take that question from Tuhin, who is very much a part of this discussion today. But the point and the fact of the matter right now is, why won't you question the Congress party and its lack of support towards the resolution? Why wouldn't you question Congress's own stance?
See, we have questioned the Congress on that.
When?
Our politics
And where?
traditionally, you have to read back the history, please. From 75
I'm talking
to
about today, the Congress.
No. See, Akansha, just because you want it, we have a bigger problem.
My job is to raise questions, Mr. Hafizullah.
Let me, yeah, I'm telling you, in the sense, it's not you. I'm just quoting an example. We have a bigger emergency today. You want to question what is happening today, the arrest of journalists,
point taken. Tuhin, that's the repeated and consistent attack that's being hurled at the BJP. We've heard it from Mallikarjun Kharge, who's called it, an undeclared emergency. We've heard various quarters of the Congress party, people like Jairam Ramesh also saying that what's been happening since 2014 up till 2024 has been unconstitutional in itself, and that in itself is emergency. How do you respond?
Well, good evening, Akansha. Good evening, everybody. You know, at the outset, let me first congratulate Om Birla ji, not only for being elected as the Lok Sabha Speaker, but also for the most unequivocal and for the most, bold resolution condemning the worst tampering of democracy in 1975. All these people who call it undeclared emergency basically cannot come out of their emergency mindset. When they were in power, they were imposing emergency. Today, when they are out of power, they are spreading falsehood about the constitution. They are spreading doctored videos which says, which has the Home Minister saying that, the reservation will end. Even that is an act of tampering with the spirit of the constitution. Yesterday, They forced a contest for the post of Lok Sabha Speaker when they had no chance of getting a Lok Sabha Speaker. In the first time in parliamentary history, they did that. That again is tampering with the spirit of parliamentary, democracy and the constitution. So, for the younger generation to know that all those people who are ostentatiously flashing this constitution book in their hands are the primary culprits and repeat offenders when it comes to disregarding constitution, I think this resolution was very important. Ideally, I would have expected that at the end of the resolution, Rahul Gandhi stand up and profusely apologize to the nation, one, for the 42nd constitutional amendment, and secondly, for 17 constitutional amendments brought during emergency, and thirdly, for misusing Article 356 90 times. That would have been a closure.
All
but
right.
Unfortunately, they keep arguing and they keep calling us dictators.
That brings me to Dr. Ajoy Kumar. You have to respond to that, Dr. Kumar, but before you do that, let me also quote what the Home Minister had to say. He's also gone on to say that the true spirit of democracy would have been tested of the Congress party if they would have supported the resolution, and by in fact protesting against the resolution, you've actually proven that you are undemocratic. Well, that's the charge coming in from the Union Home Minister.
Akansha, thank you for bringing me last on this show. The issue, I was hearing the senior journalist speaking. I just wanted to ask Tushar a question is, how many times have you written that Manipur is a bad thing? How many times have you written that Kappan was a bad thing? You're saying that we did a bad thing, we accept that the emergency was wrong, and you have said it repeatedly. Akansha, how many times have you done a program on all these, on the destruction of the institutions, election commission? The fundamental question today is, and please have the patience to hear me out doing, because
I am doing that as well, Dr. Kumar, but do not attack how we have not done shows, because I don't want to go into the archives of CNN News 18 to bring out what all we have covered, whether it is Manipur or even attack on constitutions.
On me on a show, either you listen.
Yes, but don't make unjustified attacks, please.
I have a right to speak. I don't need to attend the show, so first let's get it clear. We keep hearing the TV, look at the way you have put on the show. I want to ask you a couple of very simple questions. You think that the selection of the Chief Election Commissioner is the correct way? Have you done a show on that? Emergency was wrong, emergency was bad 50 years back.
We have been consistently raising questions.
Complete, madam, have the courtesy to listen. Have the courtesy. I have the courtesy to listen to you. Please extend the same courtesy to me and I'll really appreciate it. What about all the journalists who are in prison? What about the misuse of ED, CBI? What about you calling us and speaking on FaceTime? Everybody, even the village, even the Sabjiwala wants to speak on FaceTime. What about the buying out of the media totally in terms of everything possible? You think these are not destruction of institutions? Don't you think these are undeclared emergencies when you put two sitting chief ministers in prison? You are talking about democracy. What about when you take Ajit Pawar and Praful Patel and you were on your show, and CNN 18 did a number of shows on corruption?
Ajit Pawar and Praful Patel are not children. They are not children, and they've not just been lifted overnight or they've not been abducted. Let me bring in Tushar. Tushar, when you talk about press freedom as somebody who's been the former editor of Swaraj.
No, one second. You can't go on a show with 20 minutes spiel and not give an opportunity, because you have been the whole show, whether it is the senior journalist speaking. One tweet I want to say on Kappan.
Go ahead.
You're fighting democracy, sir. Tushar. One tweet on Kappan. One tweet on journalists in prison. One tweet on the election commission. One tweet on the ED raid. Show me. And then please come on a TV show and say you are independent. No issues. Emergency was wrong. We have said it repeatedly. But what is happening today? It's a joke.
What have you said repeatedly is what I want to know. When have you openly condemned? Has there been an official apology? And before you do that, have you given a clean chit to the ongoing ED investigation and the CBI against the Delhi CM? Are you questioning the ED and the CBI integrity as well, Dr. Kumar? My question is very simple.
I'm questioning, because you should be questioning. You should be questioning that why didn't the CBI
We are doing that day in, day out.
One sec. Why didn't you question that? Why is Ajit Pawar out? Why didn't you question when Mukul Roy is out? Why didn't you question Vyapam? You should be asking those questions, not me. But did you question? No. So my question is, Vyapam, not a single program. NEET, scam, not a single program. And then you're telling me institutions which are no.
Then I want to ask you, why is Mukul Roy your ally in the TMC, which is very much a part of the bloc?
Have you asked Tuin what is Ajit Pawar doing? Have you ever asked? Have you ever asked what Praful Patel is doing? Have you ever asked what is the NTA doing?
You know,
My
can
question,
Right.
no.
Okay.
Let's no holds barred. Now, emergency was wrong. No debate. I understand the DMK's position. We understand our position. The party has categorically said that the emergency was wrong. But the issue is very clear. Do you have the courage to say that what is happening today is right or wrong? Will you do a show on ED CBI extensions, on Praful Patel, Ajit Pawar, and all those 25 leaders of the Janata Party? No. Answer that to him. 25 people with ED raids joined BJP.
All right, Dr.
Yes,
Kumar, can
absolutely, I
Tuhin
will answer
answer
that.
now? I must thank you. I must thank you. I must thank you for patiently awaiting your turn. Dr. Roy, Dr. Kumar, are you done?
Yes.
Then I can, in fact, bring in Tuhin.
I'm done and I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Akansha,
Tuhin, please go ahead.
Dr. Kumar's, Dr. Kumar's charges, the charges that he has made only confirms what I said at the start. They have not come out of the emergency mindset. In 1975, they crushed the media. Today, they repeatedly cast aspersions upon the media. In the last 7 days, I must have appeared for at least 7 to 8 shows on NEET, and they are saying that you have not done any show on NEET. These people had somebody, a controversial guy like Naveen Chawla as the CEC, one of the most controversial chief election commissioners, and they keep casting aspersions on the EVM and election commission and whatnot. I think Congress, this is precisely the reason why today's resolution was important. While the emergency may have ended long ago, the emergency mindset of the Congress party, where they cast aspersions on independent media, they ridicule the exit polls. Now, the media needs to speak up and say that the exit polls were independent. I think my point has already been proved by the baseless allegations that Dr. Kumar has made today.
All right. I think Mr. Hafizullah wants to make a point. Dr. Kumar, please hold your horses. We've given you ample time. Let also Mr. Hafizullah speak up. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the BJP opposing the emergency tooth and nail. What was done was very bad. But there had been amendments. He said the constitution was tampered. I want to give you one particular example of what has happened in one of that amendment. Was the education which was in the state list was forcibly brought into concurrent list during the emergency period. Now the BJP has strengthened it more by centralizing the exams, which are the part of the education. Can they undo it? Leave the education to the complete state list? No. Where for the BJP, the benefits of emergency and the amendments which favors them are a very good thing. They want to make it more strong. They take away the state exams and make it centralized. One such example is NEET. Asita is NEET. Sir, can we go back, sir? Can we undo the education from the concurrent list and give it back to the state list? Because that was done during the emergency. Which emergency you're opposing? Let us have state exams for all the state educational institutes. But why are you not doing it? No, you don't do it because you are enjoying the benefits of emergency. This is the hypocrisy of the BJP.
So I'm glad that you, in fact, highlighted the benefits of the emergency, because remember, when you talk about the lapses in the Indian education system, they go back to as soon as India gained its independence. Can the past 10 years be, left alone to be blamed for that? Tuhin, I'd like to bring you in. In fact, I'd also like to highlight that the opposition demand was that the CBI should be handed over, and that is something that's happening as far as the investigation is concerned. Right, Tuhin, please go ahead.
My point is very simple.
Over the last weekend, we have taken 4 concrete steps to
Mr. Hafizullah, you've spoken. Let Tuhin also speak up.
No, I think, it's a separate discussion altogether. During the weekend, we have taken 4 very concrete steps, including handing over the entire case to CBI, changing the NTA Director General. So, that thing is already addressed. Now, regarding the centralization of the education system, that has its reasons. We have seen over the years that, education mafia in states has prospered with the support of certain political parties. And I can name those political parties. This time, the NEET scam in Bihar very clearly has an RJD imprint, which they cannot question. Have they ever asked questions to Tejasvi Yadav, whose private secretary is one of the key accused and being investigated? In 2013, the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh withdrew the Anti-Copying Act, which we had brought in Uttar Pradesh in 1992. So, it's a separate discussion altogether. We can have a separate show on this.
Dr. Kumar, I see you want to make a point. Please go ahead. Let Dr. Joy Kumar make a point.
Mr. Tui, the problem is on a TV you can go get away saying half truths and untruths rather. The person they are showing the accused, that the main guy who got a job as an engineer, got his time during the BJP time, and he's a LJP candidate who is a sworn ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party, but it's a convenient, facts should not come in between a good story. The other issue is, look at the RSS guys what you're filling up, the Vyapam scam guy, the Chhattisgarh scam, the guy who was in it is now the chairman of the NTA. The NTA papers in Jharjar. You're talking about constitution, so let's start doing. You object to the constitution, please tell your party
Dr.
to bring
Kumar, we're also talking about since you're talking about constitution, and also let's talk about democratic rights. And that is why I'd like to bring in Mr. Hafizullah on that. What's happening in the Tamil Nadu Assembly also? No, I am running short of time and I have several points to touch upon. What's happening in the Tamil Nadu Assembly? Why have the AIADMK MLAs been suspended for a day just because they raised the issue of the Hooch tragedy?
Okay, so when did you do a program for 154 MPs being suspended?
Let's not get into that whataboutery. Dr. Kumar, I've been very patient about this, but we cannot get into this whataboutery because I'm not going to get into the archives of CNN News 18 and bring each and every program that we've been doing. Please watch our channel from morning till evening. I'm not so hungry for your TRPs. But let me take that question from Mr. Hafizullah. Mr. Hafizullah, please explain what explains the suspension of those MLAs who had the right to question the Kalakurchi Hooch tragedy that happened, and you suspend them on pretext that they are creating a ruckus, which is something that Congress was doing at the well of the House today as well.
Akansha, you call me for a show at 9 o'clock. Okay, I come at 8 o'clock and I say you conduct the show right away when some other business was happening. The issue was simple. There was a question hour happening and my chief minister was ready to discuss this on 0 hour. On the day when that was the stand of the government, which they did not agree. The chief minister said, let's have a discussion post-lunch. Even after suspension, we requested the speaker and asked the ADMK to come and participate in the discussion. They don't want to do it. It is not like where we have to bring a no confidence motion for the prime minister to speak. Our chief minister was ready and inviting them, but they come with a premeditated agenda of creating a news and media attention to disrupt the question hour. There is a discussion on the budget which was discussed. There was a supplementary questions which are being asked. The business was planned. Now they don't want to discuss in 0 hours. How are we to be blamed if the chief minister
Tushar, I'd like to bring you in on that. All right, you've made your point, but Tushar, let me bring you in on this. When you're talking about, say, a huge tragedy like the one that we've witnessed in Kalakurchi, is it that, that are we questioning the opposition's right to question and a right to answer? Because, we've seen this time and again happen that ruckus created is always the reasoning or the rationale given behind suspending. And right now, as we are talking, in fact, I'm also being told that they've not been suspended for a day, they've been suspended for an entire session. Did it call for their suspension for an entire session?
Absolutely not. It's rather unfortunate that the opposition MPs in Tamil Nadu were voicing their concerns against this very unfortunate tragedy that has consumed the lives of over 55 people. They're simply being suspended. And this is from an opposition, this is from a rather government in the state that is the national opposition. And they claim that they need more consensus building and they need more reconciliation. I'm quite appalled by the behavior of the Congress spokesperson here. Upon asking questions about the Congress, the first thing they do is attack the media. Attack how many shows you have done. They want an entire schedule of how many shows have been done on certain topic. Why can't they simply answer the questions? And yet they accuse of the BJP driving in an atmosphere like emergency. This is absolute hypocrisy. They want to talk about institutions being under danger. Someone should remind them of the banking crisis that they left the NDA within 2013-14. They want to talk about institutions. They should talk about how they reduced BSNL and Air India into financial losses, massive financial losses. They want to talk about Manipur. Let's talk about how they misled Punjab, how they misgoverned Punjab across the 1970s and 80s. They want to talk about the right of the media to criticize. Sir, for the last 10 years, anyone in the media has been free to criticize the BJP as and whenever they want. They were never questioned. In the
All right.
emergency,
Dr. Joy
people
Kumar,
who
when we
there
talk
was-
about the rights of media, what about press freedom during the emergency? Why won't you step out in the open and the grand
No,
old party?
Akanksha, one point.
Why?
Akanksha, one point. 1 point, Akanksha. Just 2 points. Which was that party that chose to boycott a specific list of anchors right before the Lok Sabha elections? And which was the party that right before the elections in their manifesto said that we will prohibit the cross-media ownership across different segments? Which is that party that had regulation about media ownership in their election manifesto? It was the Congress.
All right, let Dr. Kumar take that question. Dr. Kumar, don't get worked up, but I want you to come back with all those questions that Tushar has just raised. No, there are very pertinent points over there. Because now that you have your party and in fact the entire India Alliance has a leader of opposition, which is in fact news to celebrate in the Indian Parliament after a decade, there's greater onus as far as responsible behavior from the entire opposition is concerned. So please, Dr. Joy Kumar.
The first question is, what is this deputy speaker? Have you asking this government the question? Mr. Tushar is asking the press freedom and all. What is the integrity of the? We will question every press who is we think to be biased. Questioning press who are biased is it an offense? You question us, you question them. Media is holy. Their anchor is the goddess.
No, Dr. Kumar, just because an anchor asks you questions which do not suit your political rhetoric doesn't mean you boycott that anchor.
No. This is not right.
No, Dr. Kumar, just because it doesn't suit your political rhetoric.
No. Because
You don't question why Prime Minister has not done a single press meet.
Mr. Hafizullah, please let Dr. Kumar finish.
Because you're only asking.
This is a...
Have you asked the government any question? Show me one program where the government has been asked.
I will
Any
be
question? No, show me.
also
Please
ending with a question for Tuhin as well.
Show me any program where you question the Prime Minister, whether it's China, whether it is Hathras, whether it is CBI. So when you don't question...
Interviews are all about questioning.
No, madam, those interviews are all.
All right.
Journalists...
Tuhin, before we are accused of being BJP stooges,
You know,
let's...
Akansha,
Too much of data.
Press meets.
Akansha, this Congress party
It's
seems
deplorable
to be
that-
suffering from a selective...
Dr. Ajay Kumar, it's deplorable that you do not have the chivalry and your party doesn't have the chivalry to stand and admit that we deserve an apology for the darkest chapter in Indian history. But you will keep attacking.
You tell me. You have the
You can show your largesse.
Can I finally come in?
Please.
Have the
All right.
Akansha, can I come in,
Tuhin,
please?
please go ahead.
Prime Minister
I'm a very...
Dr. Ajay Kumar, let's have a civil
I
discussion
follow
over
certain-
here.
I-
Tuhin, please go ahead.
I follow certain debating etiquettes, and I would, appreciate if the same is extended to me. This Congress party seems to be suffering from a problem of selective memory loss. In the last 2 weeks, I remember there have been so many anti-government debates, whether it is on NEET, whether it is on the train discussion, they don't seem to remember anything. So they seem to be suffering from amnesia, and they need to get themselves treated. Today, Rahul Gandhi has become the leader of the opposition. Since they are suffering from selective memory loss, I want to remind him that at one point of time, he used to believe that power is poison. No, power is not poison. The post of the leader of opposition holds a lot of constructive power. Utilize that for the good of the country. Get out of your obstructionist agenda. You have an obstructionist agenda. You will have to rise above that for the good of the country. Please do that. This is your moment.
Good of the country.
All right.
Good of the
Tuhin, I'd
country.
like to, end with a question that I have for you. Why would your lone MP from Kerala, Mr. Suresh Gopi, also the Union Minister, now in fact call Indira Gandhi the mother of India? He's also gone on to justify it by saying that she, according to him, has been the architect of post-independence India.
Exactly...
Please go ahead. I'd like to end with your thoughts on that note.
The democracy. That exactly highlights the democracy within the party. That exactly, highlights how open we are to different ideas. If he said it in his individual capacity, maybe, in the past, he may not have belonged to the BJP. But we have no problems with it. That shows our acceptance of different ideas, and that is what that is, so different from Congress, which thrives on intolerance.
All right, Tushar, I give you 15 seconds to come up with your thoughts.
I'm just looking at the worked up Congress spokesperson, and I have only one thing to say. This is precisely why the people of India need to know about the emergency. It's a forgotten chapter of history, perhaps for the Congress. Maybe they want to forget it. But the India people must not, because we are always only one election result away from electing a government that believes in silencing critical voices, just as the Congress spokesperson was trying to silence you when you asked him some tough questions.
All right, Mr. Hafizullah.
No, you were saying about the fellow panelist, he said about boycotting the anchors. You should also know why Prime Minister is only giving interview to few anchors, not all. Why is he being
Then you should
selective?
also know that we've been doing consistent debates on NEET, on powers bestowed upon the CBI or the ED.
Akansha, 85 interviews, 85
All right,
interviews in 40
Dr.
days. How is
Kumar,
it selective?
Dr. Kumar, I've heard senior Congress leaders talk about how Britain owes an apology to India for colonizing our country. What about an apology from Congress party? Please answer my question when it comes to the period of emergency before you attack and get into whataboutery.
So we have already said that the emergency was wrong. So please watch Mr. Kharge's interview. Mr. Rahul Gandhi said it. But I like what Mr. Tushar has said. Suppressing. You want to suppress the millions of voices. You don't see anything wrong happening today with all your colleagues inside jail. You have the audacity to say that we are suppressing. You have the audacity to tell the Prime Minister कि आप आम काट के खाते हो कि चूस के
All right, Dr. Kumar, I wish your party the very best. In fact, all of opposition. Now that you also have a leader of opposition, I'm sure you'll have a stronger voice. This is being called the dawn of a new reality for the 18th Lok Sabha. And with that, it's time to slip into a quick break.